All right, this is part 21, and those familiar with the series will realize that's blackjack and the whole thing. But anyway, part 21. We're going to start this with something I should have done earlier in the series, I think, now that I've done this. But we're going to watch this entire video of Stanley Kubrick. This is his one and his only public speech he ever did through his entire career. Think about that. He was a public celebrity, and he did one public interview, or one public speech in his entire life. He did lots of interviews with magazines, but this is the only on-film public speech he ever gives. And in true Kubrick fashion, it is chock full of little clues and allegory, and let's just watch it now.
Good evening. I'm sorry not to be able to be with you tonight to receive this great honor of the D.W. Griffith Award. But I'm in London making Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. And just about this time, I'm probably in the car on the way to the studio, which, as it happens, reminds me of a conversation I had with Steven Spielberg about what was the most difficult and challenging thing about directing a film. And I believe Steven summed it up about as profoundly as you can. He thought the most difficult and challenging thing about directing a film was getting out of the car.
Okay, so he says the most difficult thing was getting out of the car, the vehicle. Okay, remember that.
I'm sure you all know the feeling. But at the same time, anyone who has ever been privileged to direct a film also knows that although it can be like trying to write War and Peace in a bumper car in an amusement park.
Tolstoy is in the date puzzle.
When you finally get it right.
And also that goes into the making of this video series is like writing War and Peace in a bumper car in an amusement park. It's bouncing all over. You're leaping and you're hopping and you're jumping and you're running and all over the place to keep this puzzle together. So it's not an easy thing to write. So he says that.
There are not many joys in life that can equal the feeling. I think there's an intriguing irony in naming the Lifetime Achievement Award after D.W. Griffith, because his career was both an inspiration and a cautionary tale. His best films will always rank among the most important films ever made, and some of them made him a great deal of money. He was instrumental in transforming movies from a Nickelodeon novelty to an art form, and he originated and formalized much of the syntax of movie making, now taken for granted. He became an international celebrity, and his patronage included many of the world's leading artists and statesmen of the time.
So we have leading artists and statesmen, we have archetypes.
But Griffith was always ready to take tremendous risks in his films and in his business affairs.
Much like Stanley, he's messing around with people that don't mess around. The price for betrayal is they kill you. The Minotaur kills you. Just like Theseus.
He was always ready to fly too high.
Icarus flies too high to Apollo the sun, and his wax and feathers melt and he dies. We even get to see the monolith there. I don't know if you saw it. The monolith appears on the screen and you adjust his glasses.
Too high.
Even this movie has alchemy in it, There it is. There's the out there. Oh, I missed it again. Let's see if we can get it this time. There it is. There's the monolith. He adjusts the glasses.
And in the end, the wings of fortune proved for him.
Remember the wings of fortune, wing attack plan R. He chopped his family up and stacked them neatly in the west wing. Icarus, build better wings.
Like those of Icarus, to be made of nothing more substantial than wax and feathers. And like Icarus, when he flew too close to the sun, they melted. And the man whose fame exceeded the most illustrious filmmakers of today spent the last 17 years of his life shunned by the film industry he had created.
Blackballed.
I've compared Griffith's career to the Icarus myth, but at the same time, I've never been certain whether the moral of the Icarus story should only be, as is generally accepted, don't try to fly too high, or whether it might also be thought of as forget the wax and feathers and do a better job on the wings. One thing, however, is certain. D.W. Griffith left us with an inspiring and intriguing legacy, and the award in his name is one of the greatest honors a film director can receive.
I think when you win the D.W. Griffith award, that's basically like a little nod that you better get your orders, your stuff in order, because you're not going to be here much longer. They're going to take you out.
Something for which I humbly thank all of you very much.
So there he is, Stanley Kubrick in his own words. He's giving you a lot of clues in that little thing there. He gives you Icarus. He gives you build better wings. And he says the hardest thing is getting out of the car. So there's already a bunch of cars in this puzzle already. We have the Morgan that Tim Carey drives. We have the Mustang and the Falcon at the World's Fair, the first unibody cars. We have the Thiokol Sprite. We have the Active Fisher Snow Track. We have the Snowcat. So we have all these different vehicles. And he says the hardest thing is getting out of the vehicle. And obviously, after Stanley faked the Apollo moon missions, it was impossible for him to get out of that vehicle. He was, you don't walk away from that without consequences, because he riddled the thing with clues. And he knew at some point somebody was going to figure them out. And when they did, that's when the Minotaur was coming. So that's exactly what happens. They kill him and they kill his daughter later on. And her death date is encoded. I covered the dates in the last video. So we have the hardest thing is to get out of the vehicle, right? So then we go from there, and the next theme, which I've alluded to all along, is the one I'm going to go over now. And we have, let's begin from the top. We have one small step, one giant leap. The NASA crawler. This is the largest track vehicle ever made. And we looked for track vehicles because we were given several track vehicles. In Full Metal Jacket, Animal Mother says, you walk the walk, do you talk the talk? You've got Neil Armstrong, the first moonwalker. Johnny Glenn, Johnny Walker, the first spacewalker. Easy Rider with Dennis, oh, I didn't do this one, Dennis Hopper. Easy Rider, Dennis Hopper. Woody Strode, high jumper. Jackie Robinson, long jumper. Laurie Strode, Halloween. Blade Runner, Ridley Scott. Road Runner cartoon. Johnny Walker, red or black. And then you get the Rolling Stones. I see a red door, I want to paint it black. O.J. Simpson plays Johnny Walker in Capricorn 1. The camera walk sign seen in the Shining lobby. John Walker, O.J. Capricorn 1. Michael Collins is a whiskey, moonshine. Sterling Hayden says, give me a glass of pure grain alcohol and rainwater. Grain alcohol is moonshine. We have Michael Jackson, King of Pop, the last moonwalker. His father's born on Kubrick's birthday. It's always father and son, so it's Joe Jackson and Michael Jackson, father, son. Just like Icarus and Daedalus, Stanley and Jocks, his father, the Dr. Jocks. Neil Armstrong, the first moonwalker. Dennis Hopper, Easy Rider. This is Skywalker in Spielberg. He mentioned Spielberg right at the beginning of that. It's him and Spielberg. There's a nucleus of the Jungian archetype directors, and they're all working together. It's a monolithic message. It's not in one director's movie set. Like, it's in Kubrick's, clearly, but it hops out of here. It leaps out of Kubrick's movie into other movies, and the directors are all working together in secret. They have the Jungian side. They have the dark and the light. The dark side is the movies they create, and the light side is the hidden message. We have the Bush babies, George Herbert Walker Bush and George Walker Bush. We have the Imperial Walker in Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, or the Skywalker Ranch is Spielberg's home. So J.F. Kennedy got the riderless horse. He rode the riderless horse, okay? RFK rode on the train. RFK Jr. rode on the plane, okay? We have Nancy Sinatra. These boots were made for walking. Frank Sinatra is in the movie The Manchurian Candidate. I believe that's where this is going, but I don't have all the pieces of this thread. I'm still working on it. We have these boots made for walking. Jack wears the Timberline boots. That's the Timberline Lodge. That's a clue. The Kennedys were bootleggers. The white bunny rabbit leaps down the rabbit hole. And then we have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We have Neil Armstrong after his famous, one small step, one giant leap. He says, yeah, it was about a 3-footer. This is a golf shot. It's a 3-foot golf shot. He was in the Eagle. That's 2 under par. It's a giant leap, small step, right? So we have the Christopher Clavius crater and the Clavius base in 2001 Space Odyssey. And Christopher Clavius is the man that invents the leap year. This is the first Gregorian calendar ever, based on the heliocentric model. So the first calendar based on the sun-centered, Apollo-centered universe is made by this man here, and Kubrick includes it as the Clavius base in his movie. Icarus ignored his father's warnings and he flew too high, just like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And Apollo's golden rays melted the waxen feathers. This is Kubrick telling you that he knows they're coming for him. He knows that eventually Apollo's golden rays are going to melt his waxen feathers, and this message is going to get out. And it's clearly they decoded it. I think they decoded it before Eyes Wide Shut, but after he made Eyes Wide Shut, I think they made the decision that he's got to be stopped now because it's already gone too far. It was checkmate Kubrick, and really it was checkmate Kubrick in Full Metal Jacket. Eyes Wide Shut was just the icing on the cake. So we're in a vehicle, right? The hardest part is getting out of the vehicle. Well, you're looking at the vehicle here. Some of the vehicles are your legs, you're stepping, you're leaping, you're crawling, you're walking, you're riding on the horse, you're riding in the car, you're riding in the plane, you're strode, you're running, you're moonwalking, spacewalking, you're doing the bunny hop, you're doing, here we go, the road. And also we flew. We have the flew is the end one here, the flew. We flew too high. So this is the vehicle. So when he says the hardest part is getting out of the vehicle, what he means by that is it's not easy, but after a while you can build these lists here and you can just go, oh my God, they said step, leap, walk, crawl, talk, 50 times. You make the list of it and you go, oh, isn't that neat? But what does that mean? Well, that's what he means by the hardest part is getting out of the vehicle. This is part of the vehicle here. I mean, these lists I make are all parts of the vehicle. And it's all done through repetition. He just keeps repeating these. The more of these you find, the more complete this category becomes. And also it helps you, the more of these you find, it helps you with, where is this message going? Now, when you find Easy Rider, Dennis Hopper, you go, wow, this is jumping out into different directors and different movies. This is the giant leap we're making. Just like I said, when we find the bunny rabbits, the bunny rabbits hop up and down. They're always jumping around and jumping into rabbit holes. So we're to follow the rabbits. Well, there are hopping rabbits and there are crawling rabbits. There's different categories of where we're hopping and jumping. And sometimes it's a movie like Capricorn 1. Sometimes it's a movie like Easy Rider or Blade Runner. So this is part of the vehicle. And he is very accurate in his statement when he says the hardest part is getting out of the vehicle. Making these lists is difficult enough, but after you make 2 or 3 of them, you can't really get out of the vehicle yet. You don't have enough detail to really get out of the vehicle. You have to make as many of these things as you can find that's in his movie. And once you get a nexus, a matrix of these lists, a separate narrative emerges. And that's why I wanted to cover this, to just say, what does he mean by the hardest part is getting out of the vehicle? And that's 21. If you've really watched this series and I recommend you're going to have to watch it probably at least 3 times because there is so much information in here and it's so alchemically linked that just watching it once, you're not going to pick up enough to understand. Like if you get to this step and you just breeze through all the other videos and thought they were neat, this isn't probably going to make any sense to you. But if you actually paid attention along the way, and like you sharp boys and girls you are, you'll pick it up, and that's it. And have a great day. Thank you.